Queridos amigos, muy buenos días. Gracias por estar con nosotros en su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Les habla Lilia Galindo. Estamos transmitiendo desde la 1470 AM, 96.9 FM y tenemos invitado al superintendente del Antelope Union High School District, Greg Nehen. No, your last name, pronounce it, please.
Nehen.
Nehen. And my co-host,
Michael Dutton.
Michael. No, don't forget that we are here, and well, we have you just please introduce Gina, please.
Sure, we have Gina Detlefson here to help me with my Spanish. So welcome, Gina.
Thank you. Welcome to this show. We are so happy to have you. This is the first time as a superintendent. How do you feel in the new role?
Feel great. Happy to be here. Excited. A lot has happened in the first couple months that I've been here, but things are moving along and everything's going in a positive direction. Couldn't be happier.
Bueno, Gina nos va a hacer favor de traducir, pero la pregunta fue simplemente, es la primera vez que está aquí como superintendente y ha estado por un corto tiempo en esta posición. ¿Cómo se siente al respecto? Y Gina nos dice...
él se siente muy contento de estar aquí, muy emocionado y también piensa que van en la dirección correcta.
Excelente. Well, do you know, we are so happy and we have, Michael, it's your turn to ask any question that you want.
Okay. Well, first question I want to ask really is that I know that Greg is new to the position, but he's not new to the district. And since we're talking about newness, you're in a new building now. And what's that like over there?
So we moved, we were originally under 3 different roofs. We were in 3 separate buildings. And at the beginning of February, we were able to move everybody under one roof. It's the old Countrywide or Bank of America call center. The district acquired the building a number of years ago, and we moved in. Gina, do you want to jump in there?
Yes. Originalmente ellos se encontraban en 3 diferentes edificios. Ahora, cuando el señor Nehen está en una nueva posición, pues uno de los principales cambios es que se han movido a un solo edificio. Primero, inicialmente estaban se movieron a un edificio que pertenecía al Bank of America.
Okay. So having everybody under one roof it's made a huge impact on our productivity, especially coming off of COVID when everybody was so separate, so isolated. The ability for us to work and walk across the hall versus across the street or around the corner has really impacted the quality of work, the quantity of our work, and the happiness of our staff.
Good.
El hecho de que se movieran a un solo edificio, estando todos bajo un mismo techo, eso les da la oportunidad de tener más productividad, especialmente después de que se pasó por el trance del COVID. Ahora pueden servir a la comunidad con mayor cualidad.
Perfecto. It's my turn.
Okay.
I just want to ask you, because we usually forget, this your new responsibility is a big responsibility, and I would like to know how many schools do you have, how many students, how much is the budget, and that kind of things, to have an idea of the weight that you have in your shoulders.
Oh, I appreciate the additional weight. So we're a high school district of approximately 22,000 students. We have 8 comprehensive high school campuses. We have 2 continuation campuses. We have an adult ed school, and then we have a charter school that we have both virtual high school options available for students, as well as we have 2 middle schools. And then finally, we have SOAR High School, which is on the campus of AVC. And I'm proud to share that we're also opening another SOAR campus that's linked to the Palmdale AVC's campus in the fall.
At that level, I already missed most of the conversation. A ver, Gina,
Okay. Así es, el distrito de escolar de Antelope Valley cuenta con 22,000 estudiantes, 8 escuelas integrales, 2 escuelas de continuación, una escuela para adultos, una escuela autónoma, virtual disponible. También hay 2 escuelas secundarias. Está Shore, que se encuentra dentro del campus de la Antelope Valley College, y también hay un nuevo Shore que están por abrir en el otoño.
As far as the budget goes, it's roughly a $340 million annual budget, and we have roughly 2,500 dedicated employees that come to work every day to serve our students. 2,500.
A lot.
Yeah. El presupuesto es de 334 millones y también cuentan con 25,100 trabajadores.
Ok. Bueno, así está el asunto. Imagínense la responsabilidad de manejar un presupuesto de 340 o 300 y 2,500 empleados es una cantidad increíble de personas que hay que conducir para la meta de lograr una mejor educación. It's your turn.
Okay, I want to follow up. I wasn't finished with the new location. So
I'm sorry.
it gave me a lot of pleasure to talk about it because it was something that I had a little bit of something to do with. And could you tell that how cost effective was it moving into this building?
So far, very cost effective. We owned 2 of the buildings outright, and we rented another building. We are in the process of selling 2 of the buildings that we owned, and those will go into funding the renovations of the building. But having everybody under one roof, really, to me, it's a priceless endeavor. But from a cost-effective standpoint, part of the new facility will be funded by the sale of the 2 other facilities.
Ok, les van a hablar acerca ahora continúo Michael con la pregunta las nuevas oficinas del distrito. Y Gina nos va a decir qué dijo.
Okay, bueno, el estar en una nueva localidad, pues es un gran placer. Actualmente ellos cuentan con 2 de esos edificios, son dueños de 2 de los edificios y están rentando uno. Están también en proceso de renovación, pero definitivamente el estar todos juntos dentro de un mismo techo, eso es algo invaluable. Y pues les da más posibilidades de crecimiento.
Are you done with your question?
Not yet.
Okay.
Now,
Go ahead.
This building is enormous, and you have tenants in one half of it, and you occupy the other half. And doesn't the tenancy of the one in that you're renting out actually pays the mortgage for the building?
That's correct. The Los Angeles County Department of Public Health is currently leasing the other half of the building, and their monthly lease goes to offset the cost of the mortgage. So.
Bueno, Michael continúa preguntando acerca de la situación que está en el nuevo edificio. Dice, bueno, y ahora, ya que estás rentando una parte del edificio, ¿eso ayuda a pagar por el costo de la nueva edificio? ¿Y qué nos dijo el superintendente?
Pues que sí, efectivamente el edificio es muy grande, están ocupando la mitad, la otra mitad está rentando y lo que obtienen de la renta pues está ayudando con los gastos.
Well, do you know, we have had very bad times with the COVID, but we also have a very good situation because we have received a lot of help from the federal government, the state government, even local governments. And do you know the market for housing is really high. I think it's the best moment to sell whatever you want to sell. Huh? And then you are having a lot of resources. I was thinking in the 2010 crisis, economic crisis, when the schools didn't have any money for anything. Many people lost jobs, houses, everything. How do you feel? Do you feel more comfortable and relaxed? Does that help a lot?
We are in a good place now. We've, anybody who's lived in the Antelope Valley for a few years or been a resident of California knows that recessions and booms come and go, and so we always need to be fiscally prudent and prepared for a recession or an economic downturn. But right now, things are good. The economy of the state of California is doing well, and the district is in a good position. And we're always poised and ready when things change to adapt and continue teaching kids.
Bueno, mi pregunta era, o mi comentario era de que a pesar de que hemos pasado por muy malos tiempos con el COVID, pues la situación económica no es mala porque hemos recibido muchos apoyos del gobierno federal, del gobierno estatal, de los gobiernos incluso locales, y que además el precio de las casas o de los inmobiliarios está en lo más alto. Que cómo se siente ante esa situación donde ahorita se puede vender el edificio por mucho. ¿Y qué nos dijo Gina, please?
Bueno, es que efectivamente hace algunos años, usted mencionó en el 2010, que hubo una recesión en donde mucha gente perdió sus trabajos y hubo una gran crisis económica. Actualmente están contando con una buena, ¿cómo se dice? Una buena situación económica. Por lo tanto, también están preparados para caso de alguna crisis. Las recesiones van y vienen. Por lo tanto, ahorita ellos se sienten más preparados para enfrentar algún cambio y para continuar dando educación a los estudiantes.
Perfecto, excelente. Okay, Michael.
Well, I was just watching TV the other day and paying attention to the latest developments in Washington, D.C., and they're now beginning to focus on, now that we've been through this whole COVID experience, the nation actually had a real wake-up call because a large segment of the United States population of children did not have access at home. When I say access, I mean connectivity to the internet. College students were coming home, no ability to get online. Students were staying at home, no ability to get online. And this was a national catastrophe almost. Can you kind of tell us what happened in the high school district and how do we deal with that?
Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm going to translate and commercial time and then you think about the response. Bueno, simplemente la pregunta dice, Michael estaba diciendo que acaba de ver en las noticias nacionales qué tan grande fue el problema del COVID para alguna parte de la población que no tuvo acceso para que los estudiantes, los niños recibieran las clases a través del internet porque no había acceso en el internet en muchas partes de los Estados Unidos. Y entonces, ¿qué se está programando? ¿Qué se está resolviendo? Y le pregunta, ¿cuál fue la situación del Antelope Valley Union High School District para darles oportunidad a todos los estudiantes que tuvieran acceso al internet? Y ahorita vamos a un corte, regresamos y ahorita nos contesta el superintendente y Gina nos ayuda a traducir. Vamos a un corte. Thank you so much. Están en cámara, ¿eh? Don't forget that you are still there.
Muchas gracias.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Así que si sales lastimado en cualquier tipo de accidente, le puedes subir al volumen del 45-5300 y él ganará tu caso. Y si no gana, no le debes nada. No esperes más.
So Gina, am I doing okay pace-wise? A little fast? Okay.
Maybe I can.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we can talk him into some more time so we don't have to talk so fast.
I always feel like I got a lot to say. I need to get it out.
Everything is being recorded, eh? Everything that you say.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget. No, because sometimes we think that, we are in the commercial.
Yeah.
But in the...
Well, that makes for great news across America.
Not the news we need, Michael.
El virus del Nilo, transmitido por la picadura de un mosquito, causa enfermedades como
Are you going to repeat the question when we come back? Let's jump into that.
Los ancianos y aquellos con diabetes o que padecen del corazón están en riesgo.
Protéjase, desagüe las aguas estancadas, mantenga vacías las piscinas y utilice al amanecer y al anochecer repelentes de insectos con DEET. Reporte pájaros muertos al 1-877-968-2473,
Tina, at the end you come to the video to see who was
Visite
People can see.
avmosquito.org.
They can put a face with a voice. Yeah. Everyone needs to see.
Okay. Hola, hola, amigos, muy buenos días. Gracias por estar con nosotros en su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Les habla Lilia Galindo y tenemos aquí al superintendente del Antelope Valley High School, aquí para que dándonos la información que necesitamos. Y su nombre es Greg Nehen. Y tenemos a Michael Dutton, que va a repetir nuevamente la pregunta que hizo para darle continuidad a nuestra conversación.
Okay. Now, what I was saying, and I'll try and make it succinct, is we entered into a sort of a national crisis of the lack of connectivity for learners, college and high school, across America. And I was wanting to know, in your position as the superintendent, how did you and your staff recoil and deal with that in our area?
So great question, Michael. We learned a number of lessons, and we had a number of validations. First of all, we learned that our staff and our students are very technologically proficient. We were able to go from fully functioning in-person instruction to 100% virtual instruction in less than 3 weeks. Our teachers responded to the challenge. They did amazing. So that's the positive lesson. We were able to distribute roughly 7,000 devices to students and families that did not have a Chromebook or a laptop, and we were able to get hotspots. The district already had a partnership with Sprint at the time and now T-Mobile to provide hotspots or internet connectivity via cell service to families at no cost to them. So we were already poised for that.
Okay. Bueno, efectivamente, sí hubo una gran cantidad de estudiantes que se vieron en una situación difícil. Sin embargo, el distrito, fue interesante ver que tanto el personal como los estudiantes estaban pues realmente muy a la altura en cuanto a la nueva tecnología. Así es que se pudo hacer la educación de manera virtual. Se repartieron aproximadamente 7,000 Chromebooks y laptops y hotpads para aquellos que no tenían acceso a Internet, y estos servicios se dieron sin costo alguno.
So in addition to that, we were able to get roughly 5,500 more hotspots out to our students after a little bit of time. And the Los Angeles County Office of Education, California Department of Education really came to the aid of local districts as well as our industry partners. Everybody really came together. But one of the lessons we learned is, number one, the hotspots work off of cell service, and it was not always as fast as our students needed. And then in some of our more rural areas, there was no service. So students had to go to an area where they could connect to cell service in order to participate in class, complete and submit assignments, and continue their education.
Bueno, una de las cosas que aprendieron, a pesar de que se dieron todavía 5,000 más de los hotpads, con ayuda de los patrocinadores o ayuda de la industria, se percataron de que los hotspots no siempre eran lo suficientemente rápidos como para poder tener esta conectividad, y algunos incluso vivían en áreas en las que no podían obtener esa conexión y se tenían que trasladar a lugares donde sí se pudieran conectar.
So as a result, and as Michael mentioned, with the nationwide alertness that this created, the district has partnered with both Los Angeles County Office of Education, California Department of Education, and our local municipalities to begin addressing the shortfall of connectivity for all of our students.
Como resultado de esto, en toda la nación, tanto el condado como de Los Ángeles como la educación de California están tratando de resolver o de dirigirse a esta situación, a este problema.
Excelente. Well, now it's my turn, huh?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just so you know, I was wondering, we always talk about the gap in the learning of the white population with the Hispanics and African American. And one of the big problems that I see is the English, that this very difficult to learn in another language. And for some reasons, some of the students, instead of trying to get involved with students who speak English, they find friends, because now we are a lot of Latinos, and they prefer, because you feel more comfortable speaking in your own language, then that delay a lot the learning of the English. How can we resolve the problem? And did COVID made bigger that gap existing between the two populations, or affected both?
So lot to unpack there. First, with language acquisition, like any other academic skill, the practice is so important. So speaking and reading in the language being acquired, in this case English, it's a critical piece. So in all of our classes, we encourage our students to speak and read in English. At the same time, we understand students have cultural identities, cultural preferences, and they want to speak in their native tongue. And we encourage that as well.
Okay, bueno, el impacto de adquirir un lenguaje pues es difícil. La gente tiende a querer hablar principalmente en su idioma natal. Sin embargo, se les está estimulando para que hablen y lean, para que tanto hablen como lean en inglés, tanto como sea posible, también respetando las preferencias culturales que se involucran en esto.
And as far as the impacts of COVID on student learning, everyone was impacted in one way or another. Some groups more than others, and it's going to take a number of years to determine really what the impact was. Our immediate steps are to identify and address where the learning gaps are for our students that we currently have, as well as put in place some steps for incoming students to identify and support their academic needs when they leave middle school and come and join us for high school.
Aun cuando esta situación impactó a todos y a cada uno en diferente medida, se trata de identificar y dirigirse a aquellos estudiantes en diferentes pasos o etapas de apoyo de acuerdo a sus necesidades académicas.
Bueno, la pregunta originalmente fue, bueno, siempre ha existido una diferencia entre el aprendizaje de la comunidad blanca y la comunidad hispana y afroamericana. Esto se hizo más agudo con el COVID, y también les decía yo que uno de los grandes problemas de nosotros es los hispanos, es que no es que no queramos, sino no se nos facilita aprender el inglés, porque a medida los jóvenes prefieren juntarse con hispanos también, en lugar de juntarse con americanos donde pueden practicar. Y lo que dice el superintendente, nos recomienda a todos que practiquemos, que tratemos de hablar inglés y que tratemos de leer libros en inglés, si no, no vamos a avanzar. You know, it's so difficult, this issue, because I understand that everybody would like to have somebody like Gina, no, who can speak two languages fluently, and because it's very convenient for us as a society, as a country. We have every time more international business relations, but you know, it's so difficult, because I was thinking, well, if I see parents who came and learn English, they are teachers, but their children, they don't speak Spanish anymore. And it's so sad, but I also understand the difficulty, because if you are a parent and you want to teach Spanish to your child, how are you going to practice your English? It's a big deal. And do you know, some people think that we don't want to leave the culture behind, and we are never going to leave it. We don't speak English because we don't feel comfortable. That is the point. It's not like, if, oh, I want to be so Mexican that I don't want to speak English. No, it's because it's so difficult, really, the transition, and obviously you feel more comfortable speaking in your own language. Tell us a little bit something about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that as humans, we all resort to what is most comfortable for us, and what we encourage our students to do is, and this is academically as well as with language acquisition, it's move outside of your comfort zone, move outside of where you're comfortable, and push yourself. And Lilia, you and I have had conversations. You speak in English and I speak in Spanish, not very well, but I do my best, and that's what we encourage students to do, is to work and learn with and from each other, and push yourself, move outside of your comfort zone.
Bueno, estaba yo comentando por qué a veces se dificulta tanto a la comunidad hispana aprender inglés, ¿no? Porque, bueno, nos sentimos mucho más cómodos hablando en español, porque hablamos bien, y porque además cada vez hay más hispanos que hablan español, y entonces cuando vas a la escuela, pues te juntas con los que hablan español para estar platicando y sentirte cómodo. Y lo que sucede es que también los padres o aprenden inglés o le enseñan a sus hijos español. Es muy difícil, pero vamos a pedirle a Gina también que nos diga cómo le hicieron sus papás para que ella fuera capaz de hablar los dos idiomas. Pero primero ayúdanos con la traducción.
Sí, como no. Bueno, nosotros tendemos a hablar y sentirnos más cómodos hablando nuestro propio idioma natal. Sin embargo, es importante que para poder hablar en otro idioma salgamos de nuestra zona de confort y nos enfrentemos y tratemos de trabajar y de aprender de los otros, de las otras personas que no son hispanas. Y esa es la única manera en la que uno puede salir adelante y aprender el idioma.
¿Y cómo le hicieron tu familia para que aprendiera?
Bueno, yo nací en México y estuve allá hasta los 33 años de edad. Sin embargo, yo tuve la fortuna de asistir a una escuela bilingüe desde el kinder.
No, pizza cake.
En algún momento, casi al final de mi estancia en México, yo trabajé para un despacho de abogados, donde la mayoría de nuestros clientes eran...
hablaban inglés.
El inglés era el idioma oficial, entonces no me quedó de otra. Y luego me casé con un americano y aquí estoy. Mi situación es diferente.
Esa es la receta. Ahí tienen la receta por si quieres seguir. Now, since we are talking about going out of your comfort zone, let's practice your Spanish.
Okay.
When we come back from the break.
You're gonna do this to me, aren't you?
No, yeah, let's do it.
Muy bien.
Okay, vamos a un corte y regresamos.
Were you injured in an automobile, motorcycle, bicycle, private property place, or at a work accident?
Ironically,
Perhaps a
right now,
dog
my
bit you?
son's taking his
Contact
AP
attorney
Spanish
Antelope Campana. He is
test.
prepared and ready to defend you.
Spanish?
All consultations,
Oh.
Yeah.
meetings, and appointments are free.
Oh.
And
My
you
daughter
pay
took it
absolutely
and got a
nothing
phone.
if
You
your
remember
case is
Socorro
not won.
Reyes?
Call
Yeah.
at
She was at AVUHSD.
661-945-5300. Angelo Campana, the attorney whom the community trusts.
Las vemos todos los días, pero
He was a
no
little
las
cocky
encontramos
yesterday. I
a
said,
la
No es fácil, ¿eh?
Not really, it's a study for it. So you guarantee me a 5?
Sí, como
4 or
5 a 10
5?
centavos por
You
el
better
pase
put
de
up
cabina
the...
CRP.
Al recogernos,
Yeah.
las calles estarán más limpias e incluso seremos dinero
No
para
sé,
ti.
Pero
cuando
necesitamos
vine a
ayuda
trabajar
allá dentro de tu corazón.
Oye, no se
en
trata
esos
de
de
corazón,
sección
sino de
8,
razón.
Llama
me
al
empezaron a contestar
1-800-360 o
teléfonos.
visita la página web para obtener
Give me
información sobre
Social
cómo al
Security.
reciclar
What?
paquetes y
No hay
latas,
nadie
las
ahí que
cosas
hable
mejoran
inglés.
para ti, para
I am the
nosotros
only
y
one.
para
Do you
Pamela.
need help or not?
Es difícil luego decir,
What? Ok, vamos a... Hola, hola, queridos amigos. Ahora nuestra lección de español para todos. Our Spanish lesson for everyone. Ok, vamos a hablar un poquito. Do you not show them that you feel, even though it's difficult, you are going to do your best to try to communicate with the people that you're serving, because don't forget that everybody who works for the government are public servants. So they have to make an effort to communicate with the people that they serve. ¿No?
Sí, sí.
Perfecto, ok. Dinos algo, por favor, Greg.
Buenos días todos. Me llamo Gregorio y yo estoy el superintendente del Antelope Union High School District.
Qué bueno. A ver, Michael, tú también practica, por favor.
Miguel Dutton.
Say something. I know that you know more than that.
Yeah.
5 de Mayo.
Mi español is poquito.
Es poquito. No, I know. Do you know? But it's so good. It's so good that we are doing this, because then you understand exactly what do we go through.
Oh yeah.
When we go to a meeting, or maybe you have to go to a DLAC meeting and listen everybody speaking Spanish, and you say, what are you talking? It's the way in which sometimes we feel, no?
I can go to a meeting and understand a lot of what's being said, although I don't speak Spanish.
Well, you should now go the next step. No, just kidding.
I'm trying to unthink Russian.
No, do you know? I just trying to that it's not like we don't want, or I just want to eat beans and this is why I don't want to learn. No, it's really challenging to speak another language, and only the people who has tried knows about.
Yeah.
Other people that you don't speak English.
Well, I tried. Back in 2003, I went to Ventura and took a class for 1 week, Spanish class. They did not speak English. And I learned a lot of Spanish, but when you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
And I still have a great compassion for English language learners and what they go through. Because I go through it myself. Even I have a pad at home with phrases and words in Spanish on it that I have written down that I'm trying to commit to memory.
Taco, cerveza y baño. No.
But outside of food products, my Spanish is very poor. I can say a few things. The standard como se llama, and so forth and so on. But it's a real chore, because I find myself having difficulty with English now at 76 years old.
Yeah.
Spanish is like, no, out of the question.
Bueno, estamos hablando de las dificultades que implica para alguien que no habla una lengua, pero que sí ha tratado de aprender, que se dan cuenta exactamente por la que pasamos. Pero simplemente tenemos que practicar, leer y tratar de hacer lo mejor que podamos. Now, I want to, yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, when I was working and had students in school, I always encouraged, especially the Spanish-speaking students, to study Spanish, learn the techniques, and learn all of as much as they could about their own language to be proficient at it. And I think that district now is offering something for that accomplishment.
Sure. So we have the California State Seal of Biliteracy, and it doesn't matter what your first language or your home language was. We encourage all students to become biliterate, or literate in more than one language. And what this entails is for students to demonstrate proficiency in English and another language. The majority of our students take Spanish. It fits being in Southern California for them to move on and be successful. But we have somewhere between 300 and 600 graduates every year that achieve the seal of biliteracy, and that's something they earn. It stays on their diploma, and they carry that language acquisition with them through the rest of their life.
Michael estaba diciendo que lo que él recomendaba siempre a sus estudiantes de habla hispana, que aprendieran bien el español, o sea, que se fueran a la escuela y aprendieran español. Y le preguntó sobre los esfuerzos que se están haciendo en el distrito de la preparatoria del Valle del Antílope para hacer estudiantes bilingües. Y ahí les va.
Sí, en todo momento se trata de estimular a los estudiantes para que aprendan un segundo idioma. Por estar aquí en California, el idioma elegido casi siempre es el español, pero se les estimula a los estudiantes para que ellos adquieran, que lean, que hablen, que puedan transmitirse en un segundo idioma. Actualmente dijo que había alrededor de 3,000 students
Between 300 and 600 graduates every year.
300,
de 300 a 600 estudiantes que se gradúan como siendo bilingües.
Yeah, and we want that number to grow every year.
Y la idea es tratar de estimular que este número siga aumentando cada año con año.
Perfecto.
Which is a tremendous step for schools and school districts to take, because when, you know, I'm kind of old, but when I was young, there were so many of Hispanic speaking kids whose primary language was Spanish at home, or whose parents only spoke Spanish. They were kind of encouraged to not do that, and they didn't learn their own language. And now there are some awards and rewards for learning and perfecting their own language. And I think that's a huge step in education in California, and a benefit for biliteracy.
Bueno, Michael también nos está platicando cómo en el tiempo en que era más joven, dice cómo a muchos estudiantes de origen hispano que hablaban español se les hacía que a fin de integrarse perfectamente a los Estados Unidos, y incluso, en mi opinión, de no ser discriminados, que hablaran solamente inglés, y entonces toda una generación o varias generaciones se perdieron de ser bilingües, pero ahora lo que se debe hacer es bilingüe, ¿no? Auméntale.
Sí, lo que dice es importante también, se está estimulando a los muchachos para que no pierdan también el segundo idioma, el idioma, en este caso del español, que los padres no solamente hablen español en el hogar, sino el español y el inglés, y tratar de que los muchachos se comuniquen también en su idioma, en el idioma de sus padres, y de esa manera no se va a perder y van a poder ser bilingües.
I think that we have to think in some way to help Latinos to speak English well, but because you know what, the problem is that also many of them are children from people who didn't have the opportunity of formal education. So the Spanish is not really very good, and so they are deficient in both. And we live in an area that we can be the number one. We live in a state that is the fifth economy, the biggest economy of the world, and we live in this aerospace area, and we can be all successful if we help them, but we have to use some imagination of how can we resolve that problem. What do you think about it?
I mean, education is the key. Really, education is the key. And what you said regarding parents who didn't have formal education, language, and it doesn't matter the language, is a structure. And once you understand a structure of language, it makes learning more languages much more attainable, much easier.
No.
And I'd like to talk about that a little bit too. Let me let her translate.
Okay, translate.
Sí, bueno, lo que dice sí, pues, ¿de qué manera pueden lograr el éxito? Pues, educación es la clave. Los padres que no recibieron no tuvieron la oportunidad de tener una educación formal, pues se les recomienda que traten de adquirir ese segundo lenguaje, y cada vez que tengan la oportunidad, para que se les vaya haciendo más fácil adquirirlo.
Perfecto.
What I want to pass on, because there was some discussion earlier about the learning gap with different groups of youngsters. And what I wanted to convey and pass along is just the knowledge and a reminder of that knowledge that in this country, for at least 200 years, it was against the law to teach African slaves anything. 200 years. and we have young children, and I quieted a room in Sacramento this past week with this concept, but we have young African American children who do not speak English. They don't know English. They are English language learners, and we do not recognize that in our educational system.
Wow. Son interesantes. A ver, Gina, te lo voy a dar.
Sí, el señor Jordan dice que, pues tristemente, hubo en el pasado un espacio bastante grande de 200 años donde se les negaba la educación a los afroamericanos. Entonces ellos nunca pudieron aprender o tuvieron la oportunidad de poder aprender el inglés. Y pues esto es algo que afortunadamente está cambiando, ¿no?
Did you see now, right now, we are three different racial groups talking here about education, and we should all together think, okay, how can we resolve the problem? Because I was talking with a teacher of preschool, teacher white, and she was telling me, it's a big problem, do you know? I think parents should teach the basics to children when they come to school, because I cannot communicate with them. They don't understand what I am saying. And I don't understand what they want, and there's basic needs that are not fulfilled because nobody understands each other. And I was thinking, oh, that is a big problem. But we have a big brain here that is going to tell us are we going to resolve that kind of problems. What do you think that we should do?
So our job is to teach students, and we teach all students at whatever level they come in. We do our best in the time that we have to bring them as far along academically, socially, and in personal growth for every single student. That's our mission.
You are so right, because you know, when you have the willing, you can even understand with just looking at the other person, ¿no?
Yeah.
Bueno, le estaba yo preguntando, entonces estaba yo platicando con una maestra de primaria, empezando los primeros grados, que dice, es que yo no entiendo cómo los niños vienen, hablan español, no hablan nada, no les entiendo nada, ni me entienden nada. Yo creo que los padres deberían de educarlos con lo básico, pero lo que nos está diciendo el superintendente es algo muy importante, ¿verdad?
Y bueno, básicamente no todos los padres pueden enseñar también a los niños, ¿no? No tienen la posibilidad ni la habilidad. Pero como dice nuestro superintendente, lo principal y la finalidad es enseñar a los estudiantes, tratando de hacer lo mejor posible para que ellos puedan tener el éxito académico y social y en cualquier cosa que ellos hagan.
Vamos a ir this is our last break, then we are going to give you the time to, when we come back, to say whatever you want to say in the language that you want.
Okay.
Okay, vamos a ir un corte y regresamos enseguida.
El abogado Ángelo Campano ya ha sido elegido 3 veces como el mejor abogado del Valle del Antelope. Así que si sales lastimado en cualquier tipo de accidente, solo llámale al 661-945-5300 y él ganará tu caso.
You're doing great. You're doing awesome.
No le debes nada. No esperes más. 661-945-5300, 661-945-5300. Ángelo Campano, el abogado en quien la comunidad confía.
The West Nile virus is transmitted by the bite of a mosquito. Some cases are so severe, they result in neurological disease such as meningitis. To protect you and your family, drain all standing water and maintain or drain swimming pools. Mosquitoes are most active during dawn and dusk. Protect yourself by using insect repellents containing D-picaridin or oil of lemon eucalyptus. Birds can also carry the West Nile virus. If you see a dead bird, call 877-968-2473, 877-968-2473.
Michael's got a question.
Okay, vamos entonces a un corte. Hola, amigos, muy buenos días. Gracias por estar con nosotros en su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Les habla Lilia Galindo y me acompaña aquí el superintendente de la Escuela Preparatoria del Valle del Antílope, Greg Nehen, y Michael Dutton, que es mi co-host y también es miembro de la mesa directiva de LEICO, y también tenemos a Gina, que nos está haciendo el favor de ayudarnos con la traducción. Vamos a continuar. Well, do you know, Better, why don't you make a question, your last question, if you want? How do you like?
My last question.
Well, not your last.
I was getting ready to say I could ask a question. It would
I
take about
asked
3
it.
hours to answer.
This is why
Uh,
I am learning English.
Okay. Well, I wanted to make a statement before I ask a question.
Oh, okay.
And that was that you hit upon something a moment ago when you were talking about, you know, what this kindergarten teacher had said and what they wanted the kids to come to school with. And I have to say that there's a movement in education now to go TK. In other words, we can begin to teach young children at 2 years old. They're shooting for 18 months, but at 2 years old, get into the home or get the students support at home and get them to school at a younger age so that there can be a longer period of time to get them from where they are to where we really want them to be, because in many cases, the parents can't do that. And expecting the parents to prepare the student and have him ready to come to school in kindergarten is a pretty far stretch when they don't speak English.
And yeah, no, it's not only the language, but also the culture, different issues.
Exactly. So anyway, and see, Greg, begging his pardon, but he's a high school guy. And elementary folks think a little bit differently because their contact with the family, the student and the family, is a little bit different than high school. And having lived in both arenas, you know, I taught elementary school for 6 years, and that is not any way, shape, or form close to what happens in high school. It's a different world. You're teaching children what they need to know to learn in elementary school. In high school, you're teaching children to apply what they have already learned in different areas so that they can prepare themselves for a future after high school. So it's two different approaches and two different worlds of education. And a lot of people don't think of it that way. They haven't had to, but they don't think of it that way. I had to because I taught high school, got laid off, and then had to go teach elementary school so I could feed my kids.
Well, bueno, Michael nos está diciendo que se está refiriendo al comentario que hice anteriormente donde le dije que una maestra de niños muy pequeños dijo que los padres deberían de enseñarles. Y él dice que ahora hay una tendencia de que se quiere llevar a los niños a la escuela de 2 años en adelante para que ellos puedan aprender lo básico. Pero le voy a dejar a Gina que nos haga favor de traducir porque ella es la especialista.
Bueno, lo que dice el señor Tetón es de que pues ahorita está la tendencia a llevar a los niños a pre-kinder, no solamente a kinder, sino a pre-kinder, a la edad de los 2 años de edad. Es una edad genial para que ellos puedan adquirir cualquier tipo de aprendizaje. Y cuando muchas veces no es posible que haya el apoyo en el hogar porque no se tiene. Por otro lado, dice que también es muy diferente la educación a nivel primaria, secundaria, a lo que es high school o escuela preparatoria. En la escuela primaria y secundaria se les enseña las bases, se les enseña las bases para poder aplicarlas después cuando ya están a nivel de preparatoria. En el nivel preparatoria se espera que los alumnos puedan aplicar lo que ya han aprendido previamente en la primaria y secundaria. Entonces son dos escenarios completamente diferentes. Y ya a nivel preparatoria, este aprendizaje que ellos están aplicando en la escuela preparatoria les va a servir para cuando salgan al siguiente paso, al siguiente nivel, una vez que lleguen ya a la edad adulta y continúen sus estudios.
Perfecto. So I just would like to know which is your biggest challenge in this new position? Like, what are you worried or concerned, or what do you think that you could do better? I know that you are very new in the position and it's not possible to find out everything, but what would you like to do? What kind of, how do you say, huella? How do you say huella? Como, what would you like to live there? Like, I was here and this is my my mark or something.
Legacy.
Legacy, yeah, legacy or your
Legacy.
stamp or mark. First, no worries or concerns. It's a new job. It's a weighty job, but no worries or concerns. First steps are to continue our recovery from the pandemic. Students were isolated for almost 2 years, and bringing them back together socially, dealing with some of the personal issues that they developed, or personal, social, emotional issues that they developed throughout the pandemic. That's going to take a number of years. The academics, some of the deficits or the unfinished learning, that's another area to address, and really getting back to normal life, normal school is our current highest priority in the district.
Le preguntaba que como nuevo superintendente, ¿qué vio, qué observó que le haya preocupado, impresionado, o que le haga pensar en cuál es la huella que va a dejar como superintendente? Y nos dijo lo siguiente.
Efectivamente, aun cuando este es un nuevo trabajo, ellos saben qué es los pasos que tienen a seguir. Principalmente tienen que cubrir pues el impacto que causó la pandemia y tratar de hacer que los estudiantes vuelvan a adquirir habilidades sociales, que traten de superar aquellas situaciones socioemocionales, personales, las deficiencias que se ocasionaron en el aprendizaje, y tratar de sacarlos adelante y que logren llegar a la normalidad y pues puedan ya llegar al nivel en el que se esperaba que estuvieran antes de esta situación.
And as we're continuing to get back to normal, it's important that we continue growing our programs. We have amazing career technical education programs that give our kids real world industry level experience, as well as preparing them for college and careers out after high school. All of those pieces are things that we've continued to work on, but we're always striving to become better. We're always continue to grow opportunities for our students to be the best that they can be after they leave high school.
Okay, y también pues eso es importante tratar de dar, se están proporcionando mayor crecimiento en los programas educacionales para que ellos puedan continuar más adelante en las diferentes carreras y tengan mayores oportunidades de crecimiento y de desarrollo al salir de la escuela preparatoria.
Excelente.
Well, I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
We've been through some tough times, and tough times usually are when you really get down to nitty gritty and invest in your R&D. And it's a great time to do that. Coming out of difficulty, coming out of situations like this, we talked about normal. I don't know that normal as we have known it will ever exist again. And I'm kind of curious, what does the new normal in the high school district look like?
Great question. So instead of the new normal, we've coined the term the next normal. And as a result, and there's believe it or not, there's benefits or positives that come out of the pandemic that we've just gone through.
Yeah.
We are, from an infrastructure standpoint and from a technology access standpoint, both on our campus and off, we're much more poised. And we're in a much better position than we were pre-pandemic. Our staff and our students were challenged to do the near impossible, and they met the challenge. Our amazing staff, both teachers and staff on campus, rose to and met that challenge. So we know that our possibilities coming out of this are limitless with what we can provide to our students. So there are benefits, there's lessons we can take away, and there's programs that we had, things that we did that we'll no longer do.
Bueno, Michael preguntaba, después de haber pasado por esta situación tan terrible en el COVID, ¿cuál es la nueva normalidad que vamos ahora a confrontar en las escuelas? ¿Y qué nos dijo?
Pues más que una nueva normalidad, ¿cuál es la próxima normalidad? Y y aunque parezca difícil, hubo algunos beneficios dentro de toda esta situación por la que se pasó, porque ahora actualmente se aprendió que existe una nueva infraestructura, tecnología, los retos a vencer, están ahora en una mejor posición para poder enfrentar futuros retos, que esperemos que no lleguen, y saber qué tanto, que es posible salir adelante y que haya un mayor crecimiento, tanto con los estudiantes, con el apoyo del personal.
Now, the last question, adult education. We are a lot of Latinos here and we need to learn English and we need also to learn some careers like mechanic or something like that. What do you tell them about adult education?
So we have a robust adult education program. It can be found on our website, avdistrict.org. There's a link to the adult program, and we offer a number of opportunities for our continuing education students that will get them a job and will get them their first promotion. And then we also coordinate with Antelope Valley College for continuing education in career and technical programs. So we have opportunities abound.
Bueno, estaba yo preguntándole acerca de las oportunidades de educación para adultos y ¿qué nos dijo, Chino?
Pues sí, efectivamente, el distrito escolar de las escuelas preparatorias del Centro Valle está proporcionando un programa de educación para adultos, donde hay diferentes oportunidades de crecimiento y oportunidades para que puedan aprender alguna nueva capacidad laboral. Y eso es en conjunto con el apoyo del Antelope Valley College. Sí hay oportunidades para que ellos puedan progresar, avanzar y aprender.
Bueno, time is gone. You just please come here and then everybody can see who was the translator, who is the responsible. If you made any mistake.
No, she made no mistakes.
Everybody knows. Hey, Gina. Bueno, pues me da mucho gusto presentarla aquí con todos nosotros, perfectamente bilingüe, y esperamos, amigos, que todo mundo siga el mismo ejemplo, porque así es la vida. Pero, do you want to say something else? We have 30 seconds.
Mucho gusto, Lilia. Es siempre con gusto.
Me da mucho gusto tenerte también por acá. Michael, di algo. Adiós.
Adiós.
Hasta la vista, babies. Fue un placer tenerlos aquí. Esperamos verlos pronto nuevamente. Y todos a estudiar inglés y a hablar inglés, porque si no seremos tratados siempre como de segunda. Gracias, bye. Thank you, Gina.
El anterior fue un programa pagado y High Desert Broadcasting no se hace responsable.